Hello and welcome to Transformers Lore. This episode we're going to be talking about the Fixer Bug and the Seeker Bug. Now these were devices that were used most notably in the Linkage comic series that takes place in the universe of the Transformers Unicron trilogy cartoon timeline. And there's going to be a sort of bit of irony when it comes to the Fixer Bug that I think you guys will be able to tell as time goes on. But first, we need to talk about the Minicons. In the universe of the Unicron Trilogy cartoon, Unicron was feeding off the energies of the Autobot-Decepticon war to refuel himself. After all, he had countless times been defeated by the Autobots and Decepticons. However, the Autobot-Decepticon conflict eventually started to die down, and that was when Unicron realized he needed to introduce a third faction to the mix, really, to really spark up the battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons again, and he did so by creating a race of Cybertronians, although I guess you can't really call them Cybertronians since they're not from Cybertron, a race of Transformers, I should say. He created a race of Transformers called the Minicons, really tiny Transformers, but have the ability to combine with the larger Transformers, which they call bulks, I believe. They can combine with the bulks to give the bulks a lot more power. Now, because of the defenseless nature of the Minicons and the need for more power, the fact that the Minicons can give the Autobots and Decepticons an edge in this war, the Autobots and Decepticons really began going at it. Now, eventually, this war also started to die down, especially once most of the Minicons left Cybertron on board a ship called the Exodus, in which they crashed partly on the moon, partly on Earth, a long time ago. In 2010, we have an event called the Armada War. Now, the Armada War started essentially when three human kids, Rad, Carlos, and Alexa, activated the Minicon panels while they were exploring the caves of Lincoln, Nevada? Or Nebraska? I think it's Nebraska. In Nebraska, they found the remains of the Exodus, activated the Minicons, and that sent a signal over to the Autobots and the Decepticons, and then they started up their war, beginning the Armada War. Now, during this whole conflict, Unicron wanted to regain the powers of some of his Minicons, or regain those Minicons back to his allegiance. And part of the ways the stirring Unicron was going to get those Minicons back was by dispatching the Fixer and Seeker bugs. Now, the Seeker bugs are essentially just drones that go out and search out for Minicons, and then they give the location of the Minicons to Unicron, so that he can eventually send out the Fixer bug. Now, during the Armada War, the Autobots and Decepticons are racing to capture all the Minicons, but Unicron is trying to get a few onto his side. He sends out the Fixer bugs, which are another sort of drone that's half red, half white, with a little bit of a circular shape in the middle. The Fixer bugs are armed, and they use it to sort of incapacitate Minicons, but eventually they break apart a Minicon, almost digitize it, take their spark, and then bring it into the Fixer bug. It's a very interesting process. But with the Minicon captured within the Fixer bug proceeds to pretty much reprogram or rewrite the personality, the character, in a way the spark of the Minicon in question. And once the Fixer bug releases the Minicon, then that Minicon is loyal to Unicron. During the Armada War, the Super Stunt Minicon team had to deal with the Seekers and Fixer bugs more often than not. It's not something we see other Minicons really deal with, but the Fixer bugs play a big role in their story. But I think you guys can kind of see the irony in the Fixer bug. Obviously, I'm hesitant to think it's not a tongue-in-cheek reference to Pokemon. After all, Armada was criticized as Pokeformers for a while because of the nature of the show where they had to catch all the Minicons. And here comes the Fixer bug being half red, half white, and literally capturing Minicons and turning them to the side of the Fixer bug's owner. But anyway, that's going to be our Transformers lore episode for this for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about how Unicron, you can see how Unicron felt about the Minicons with the use of the Fixer bugs. And while he would turn other minicons towards his side in the future, it really shows the progression of that plan to have the minicons ultimately be on his side to defeat the Autobots and the Decepticons, although we do see that the minicons do unite and oppose Unicron. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this episode of Transformers Lore. I hope you've enjoyed. Consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see this channel continue. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet. All the links to my social media are in the description. And yeah, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Huge thanks to our patrons, including this month's $10 plus patron Josh Adkins. Check out the description for more patrons and more info about how you can receive a shout out here.
Feel this pain that's never ending while you're up in heaven. Make sure you save me room. The girl will die young, so I hope I die soon.